Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike the intern, Ned Reynolds in the studio. It's Friday, Red Friday. Chiefs take on the Bills Sunday. It's the last game of the divisional round, but we will talk about the games happening mañana.
There are two on Saturday and then two more on Sunday. This is a televiewers and NFL fans' delight because you have doubleheaders on both days. Tomorrow it all begins at 3:30. That's the kickoff for the Baltimore Ravens and the Houston Texans. Baltimore is a 9.5-point favorite, but watch out. Houston's playing very well. I don't think that they can win to Baltimore and win, but you never can tell. I've seen the Ravens get turned around on several occasions in their own home ballpark.
Also, real quick with this conversation, the thing that makes the Houston Texans so dangerous is that there's so many unknowns. It's a lot of unknowns. You got a quarterback that hadn't been in the league very long. You got a bunch of players that are starting to ball out because of that, and there's not a lot of film on them. So that's a scary thing sometimes.
In a sense, that is right, but Houston has played so well now, and this is pro football, Mike. There's so many intertwinings in the league that I don't think there's a mystery to any of them anymore, and certainly not with the Baltimore Ravens. Houston plays well, and indeed they have had a good attack that's really come on. They're a maturing team, and they're going to be tough to handle in the future. I don't think, though, this is it. Then the Green Bay Packers go out to Santa Clara to take on the 49ers at Levi Stadium. That's the 7 o'clock game tomorrow night. I don't know what the situation is going to be on the West Coast. They've had some weather problems. It's all been rain, of course, but by the same token, it can get very damp, and Levi Stadium is outside. So we see two games tomorrow. The one's on Sunday. Incidentally, Green Bay is a 9.5-point underdog going into that game. Sunday, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Detroit Lions. They start at 2 o'clock. I think that will be a very good football game. I do lean toward Detroit in this one. And then the Kansas City Chiefs take the field at 5:30 against the Buffalo Bills up at Orchard Park, New York at Highmark Stadium. That will be, I think, a very good football game. Conditions, well, there's going to be snow all around, but it won't be snowing. Apparently the weather system is going to move out. It'll be, relatively speaking, clear, and I'm talking not necessarily about the skies, but no snow, but there's plenty of snow in the ballpark, and they are asking fans now to help shovel out, and that's heavy snow too. So regardless of that, we'll have football, 2 games Saturday, 2 games Sunday. Should be fun.
I wonder if, I know they were saying paying them $20 an hour. I mean, give me a ticket to the game, I'll shovel as long as you want me to.
and interestingly enough, you say that it is cold, but by their standards in Buffalo, it's not. It'll be in the low 20s, maybe the high teens, and that's not cold for them.
That's pretty average for this time of year up there, for sure. All right, well, we'll talk more about that Chiefs game later on down the road. Bears and Lady Bears have some games this weekend.
The Bears will play tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock, have Illinois State coming in for that 1 o'clock game. Illinois State's interesting. They got blown out by Drake on their own Illinois State's home ballpark, and that was just 2 nights ago. And Drake handled them. Illinois State gave them some trouble for a while, but Drake is just very, very good. This is a barometer game for the Bears. How they handle this one is very interesting because Missouri State can beat Illinois State. They can beat any team they play if they play, and if they play as a team. There's the key. I did notice, even though, and this sounds paradoxical, even though the Bears lost by 22 to Indiana State over in Terre Haute, I thought the Bears played respectable basketball. Showed some rhythm, showed some motivation on the boards where the Bears have to play well, and they shot better, just that Indiana State was better. So we'll see what happens when the Bears play Illinois State. That's tomorrow. Now tonight, the Lady Bears play Evansville. Evansville's not very good at all. This should be a win for the Lady Bears starting at 6:30. And then on Sunday at 2 o'clock, Indiana State's ladies team, the Lady Sycamores, if you can put a gender on a tree. Can you call them Lady Sycamores? You just did again.
I mean, you did. I don't know how do you gender a plant, but no, you can. Hey, whoa! You totally can. I'm not getting into the science of cultivation with you, but yes, you totally can genderize. And if you know what I'm talking about, you know you don't want any dudes when you're growing. You want nothing but females.
I won't go into that.
No, we don't want to go into that. I don't want to. Everyone's listening that knows what I'm talking about. It's like, I can't believe Mike's talking about cultivation with Ned Reynolds. But I just did, and you can write that down in the record book. It happened on January 19th, 2014, or 2024, excuse me. So what about the jury?
They went to Upper Iowa, which is in Fayette, Iowa. Went there last night and came away with a split. The Lady Panthers are pretty good. They're getting better, too, as the season goes on. Defeated Upper Iowa. This first time they played. Upper Iowa is a new team in the conference. 88-69, Lady Panthers win that one, but the gentlemen did not come out quite as well. Upper Iowa, should say, not Northern Iowa. Upper Iowa pulled away in the second half and defeated Drury 86-71. So it's a split of a doubleheader up in Fayette, Iowa, in Drury's first visit to that community and first time ever playing Upper Iowa, which is a new Great Lakes Valley Conference team.
And it looks like Cardinals and the Blues might be getting a new TV outlet.
Possible. We'll see how likely it is in the next couple of days and weeks when the bankruptcy court decides this case in which Amazon has made an investment in Diamond Sports, an investment of about $150 million, somewhere around there. That sounds like a whole lot compared to the debt that Diamond Sports has, which is $8 billion with a B, $8 billion. It's minuscule, but it does provide some relief to the Diamond Sports operation, which is also Bally's. And indeed, rather than have them go bankrupt, if there's a chance to supply some money and a chance to accept the Amazon terms, then I think probably it's a go, and I think it will go. But the fact is that Amazon wants to take some of the regional sports networks that Bally's has and show them on their Prime network, those who subscribe to Amazon Prime. That doesn't necessarily mean that all subscribers will get these games if it does happen. And if it does, it'll be in 2025. It's not going to be right now, unless the whole thing collapses, and that's a possibility when you're dealing with the amounts of money that Diamond Sports is. But it's probably 2025. And yes, I think the Cardinals and the St. Louis Blues, who are all carried by Bally's, I think possibly will end up on Amazon. And how that's going to work, Mike, remains to be seen. Will it be a separate subscription, or does it go to all those who already have Amazon Prime? I'm told that it doesn't necessarily mean it. I have Amazon Prime at my house, and I'm obviously pay for it. But the fact is that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get it. It all depends on what the bankruptcy referees.
Well, and or what Amazon wants to do with that property now, because then they could say, hey, $5 more a month, and you get to watch all the baseball you want.
Would you do that?
No, because we're so close. I prefer, like you, to be there, and so I like to make them events. I like to go to Hammond's. I like to go to Kaufman. I like to go to Busch. So that's the experience. If it's on, then I will watch it, but that's just by circumstance. I'm just too busy. I don't have the time. I can't really dedicate it in baseball. Football, absolutely. It's once a week. I get it. But baseball, you're talking 3, 4, sometimes 5 games a week.
Oh yeah, gosh,
so
yes, or more.
That takes a lot of commitment to watch all of those games. So it's especially in the beginning of the season, it's more of a convenience thing and what I'm doing and what's on now.
I have to agree with you, and I want you all to keep in mind, too, this does not include football at all. Football doesn't even enter into the mix. They have their own contracts, and teams like the Yankees and the Mets have their own TV contract. The Dodgers do as well. But for those mostly in the Midwest and maybe the eastern sectors of the Midwest who do have regional networks as such, it's a pretty big deal. And Amazon has made this offer, and Amazon may come through. Again, it all depends on the referees, the bankruptcy referee, not the striped shirt ones. But how they decide this, and I think maybe one of the key decisions will be coming up in the next couple of weeks. So indeed, it's going to be a very fractious circumstance.
And it's also kind of crazy to watch this happening, because it wasn't too long ago it was, but when we had this thing called cable that just started to appear, and then all of a sudden you could watch Cubs games on WGM or the Braves on TBS, and all of a sudden across the country you had a bunch of people that couldn't get their team, but they could watch the Cubs or the Braves, and those fan bases got a little bit stronger because of that.
There's no question about it. They did. We run into them all the time. As a matter of fact, let me give you a personal story on that. KY3, when I was there, covers a massive distance. And one of the areas that we cover is way down in northeast Arkansas, a retirement community down there. I've forgotten what the name of it is now, mostly around Mountain Home, but in that area. I used to get letter after letter after letter. Why don't you ever put the Cubs on there? And that's why. It was because
WGN
of the
Chicago. Thanks a lot, guys. But speaking of which, I mean, we've already been talking about some of the teams starting to report for spring training. That's coming up in less than a month.
Oh, heavens, yes. As a matter of fact, in about 2 or 3 weeks is when they'll be reporting. We had to move the Bears' first pitch fundraiser up a week because of that. Our guest is indeed involved in Major League Baseball and is involved in spring training and needs to be there ahead of time. So to accommodate him, we moved it ahead of time by a week. Yeah, that's how much it's coming up.
All right, well, it could be a season ender or it could be just one step to the AFC Championship game next weekend. Chiefs-Bills on Sunday. It's the final game of the weekend. Ned Talk starts at 3 o'clock.
It does indeed. The gang will be in here at 3. We'll do our little pregame show, which is an hour, 3 to 4, and then the Chiefs take over with their pregame show as well. And then the contest itself from Orchard Park, New York. Interesting. It's a great matchup, folks. It really is. When you talk about Mahomes and Josh Allen going after each other, this is going to be a good battle. Will the weather conditions be a factor? I, in all honesty, don't think that they will. It'll be cold, but compared to what Kansas City went through last weekend, oh, it'll be balmy because they're talking about high teens and low 20s, which sounds cold, but that's warm compared to what they had at Arrowhead last week. So I don't think the weather's going to play that much of a factor in it, but the Buffalo Bills will. They're a good team. They beat the Chiefs earlier this year. It's a game Kansas City could have won, maybe should have won, 21-20. But we'll see how it comes out this time. And a berth in the AFC Championship game awaits the winner.
We'll see what happens. It all comes down Sunday, and you guys have a great show. We'll be at Coyotes, as always, Arrowhead South, the only place to be if you can't be at Arrowhead. Ned, you have a great weekend, and I will see you on Monday.